using his bicep as a pillow. I wanted to lay him on his back and suck his cock until he came all over my chest, but we were both tired. "Maybe we could do something about it in the morning?" I said hopefully.
"Ja, if we rise early enough, we may have some time together,"
he whispered, nuzzling my temple. I tried to ignore his cock prodding into my ass. I wanted it, but I wanted to sleep more. I snuggled into his chest, trying to ignore our nakedness. I remembered I had tried to sleep naked once. It hadn't gone well. Noah and I had dated after college, and it had gotten to the point where I had a toothbrush and pajamas at his house. He said he felt like sleeping in the nude was inappropriate, even though we were having sex regularly. I rolled my eyes. I was so done with being repressed by men who didn't understand me, or my trauma. Agnar's breathing evened out, suggesting he'd fallen asleep. So I did what I could to stop the mental spiraling and just enjoyed his embrace. It wasn't long after that I drifted off as well.
Agnarr. I woke up in my room comforted by the familiar surroundings. The fire had burned down low in the night, but the room was still warm. What I wasn't used to was the tiny creature plastered to my side. I was on my back and Piper was wrapped around me, both arms and legs clinging to me. She snored softly in her sleep, peacefully unaware I'd awoken. Looking out the window, it was just barely dawn. I wanted to let her sleep as long as possible. I was afraid to breathe, in fear of waking her. I stroked her hair, admiring her as she clung to me, trying to remain as still as possible. Her mouth hung open, while the sunlight lit up the highlights in her walnut hair. I still couldn't believe she was mine. Forever. We had the earmarks to prove it. She'd accepted our bond. Elskamates. I thought of her growing ripe with our young, and my cock grew impossibly hard. I had always wanted orklings, but the idea of Piper carrying them was almost more than I could manage. Her thigh was resting on my cock, and I tried to move away without waking her, the pressure being almost unbearable. I shifted, and Piper tugged me closer to her. Her eyes fluttered open. "Good morning," she said sleepily. "Hi," I responded, voice husky. "Oh, have you been awake for a while?" she asked. "Just a few moments." "Well, if the pressure I feel on my thigh is any indicator, you are in need of some relief." Her hair was mussed, and she was barely awake, but she trailed kisses down my chest directly to my hard cock. "You should have woken me up," she purred. This isn't something I am used to," I said hesitantly. I had been with many of the female orcs of our tribe, but spending the night together in my bed was new to me. I had insisted we sleep naked because I wanted to stroke her soft skin as we slept, but I was just as new to matehood as she was. "Well, it's something I will more than happily provide." "Do you want my mouth or my pussy?" she asked, grinning up at me. Gods, I didn't know what to do with this female. Pussy or mouth? Pussy if you're willing, I replied, trying to keep the strain out of my voice. She pushed me flat on my back and swung herself over me. "You may need to get me a little wet and ready, but pussy is definitely an option," she breathed. I could feel her heat pressing against me, and I groaned at the sensation. I pulled her in for a rough kiss, my tongue invading her mouth. She moaned, wrapping her legs more tightly around my waist. I was never more grateful that I'd insisted we sleep naked. I dragged my hard cock along her already damp core. The scent of her arousal was heavy in my room, driving me insane with lust. She continued to kiss me while grinding against me with her hips. "Are you wet enough to take me?" I asked, breathlessly. Piper breathed in deep through her nose before reaching down between us to notch my cock at her entrance. "Yes, please. Need you inside me now." She shifted, lowering herself slowly on my cockhead, causing us to both groan in pleasure. She circled her hips to work her way down. Even with the amount of sex we'd had, our size difference was still readily evident. "Is this all right? Is it too much?" I stroked a thumb across her jaw.